So I think we're all ready to go. Uh, and welcome everyone. I hope you had a good time and you have already registered for Notes. Don't forget to come to Notes. There's a ton of good content and sessions and lots of other things. I can definitely recommend this. And there's a lot of app development content as well. So we also have a new agenda page, which looks much nicer than before. So you can save your spot, and the new agenda page is live here. So make sure to join us for a full day next Tuesday. Only 6 days to go. Okay, today we want to talk about something that my colleague Adam built. So if you build React apps, usually you would connect to an API backend, GraphQL or other API, REST API backend. And but if you really just quickly want to build a proof of concept or quick prototype or demo app or a graph app for Neo4j desktop, then you don't have a backend. Then you connect directly to the database to just show the feasibility of something, to convince your boss to run a project with Neo4j. And for prototypes like this, it's kind of a lot of boilerplate to kind of do the driver connection dialogue and all the stuff. It's kind of a little bit repetitive. So Adam gave it a try and turned it into a reusable component and then higher order component and React hooks basically. So as you can see here on the tweet, we have a React provider and then we have hooks that we can use from here. So Adam created this use Neo4j project that have these React hooks. And we can just quickly use this. And here are some usage examples that we'll look into later. But what I wanted to start up with is he also put it together an starter kit, which is here, and which you want to try to use. Okay, so and the starter kit is really just showing how to connect to Neo4j and how to do this. So I have cloned the starter kit here. And just cloned it into a new name and then did add download dependencies and ran yarn start. And if I run yarn start, it gives me an UI like this and UI like this to connect to Neo4j. And I have my local desktop running with a single movie database as such. So, and if I connect to Neo4j, then it tells me you have so many nodes in the database. Okay, that's good. So that's kind of the minimal starter app as such. If you look at the code of the starter app, oh sorry, that's the wrong one. Yeah, if you look at the code of the starter app, we basically just instantiate or get the Neo4j provider from use Neo4j, which is the higher order component. We can pass in some stuff. There's more details on what you can pass in on the documentation, but you can also, I think you can also leave this all off. I think you don't even actually need to pass anything in, and it should also work out of the hook, out of the box like this. Let's see. Then it doesn't have a footer and then header. So if you just want to have minimal no Chrome connection dialog, that's this, right? And otherwise, that's it. So you don't have to create a driver, provide a driver, or stuff like that. That's all handled under the hood. And then basically in our app, the only thing that's happening, you're getting passed in an we're not getting passed in anything. We just cannot use this hook, which is like cross-coding concern, so they're available to the whole app, and the hooks internally manage the driver and sessions and stuff like that. So there are quite a lot of methods for reading and writing to Neo4j, and also some convenience methods as well. And so I have this use read cipher hook where I just can pass query, and I think I can also pass in set of parameters. So perhaps you can do this to change this. So for instance, you want to Parse params, and it's a record, so my TypeScript is non-existent, so I probably don't need key or name, and let's say Tom Hanks. So because I have a movie data set, I want to see how many person name return, let's say I want to see how many movies he acted in, or yeah. So I want to find Tom Hanks, and I pass in the parameter here. So if I run this again, it should show me, if I connect here, 12 movies, right? So this is my query, and then 12 movies. Okay, and this hook has a bunch of returns, so it has a complex return type. It gives back the suffer statement, gives back errors if there are errors, if it's loading, and then the first, or there are also other things. So this is kind of for single results, but there are also, of course, things where you can get so it's in Neo4j result state, which you can have a look at, and this is kind of for single results, right? So you basically you can for loading. Can do loading. If there's an error, then you show the error, and if it's not loading, we get our count back from our first record and output this. And the loading thing is interesting. Oh, Adam just assigns the result here. So okay, no premature returns, but kind of just wrapping this here. Okay, cool. So this is basically what's shown in the diff here, the cipher statement, and then the result, either an error or loading, or the actual result. Okay, so much for the starter. I think there's not much more. I don't know if there are tests in there, so we should probably add a test or so for the starter as well, that kind of makes sure that this stuff works. Okay, but now we wanted to use this in our own apps. So first of all, I did a graph visualization Twitch stream a while ago, where I used a React component to render a graph, and I think I just created a hard-coded React form for login. So the code for this is in my 3D Force Graph repository. Hey Uday, I'm doing well, having fun with React. So after doing a lot of meeting heavy days and yesterday long training, it's nice to do some coding. I don't get too much to do this these days, so the Twitch session is always a good opportunity. So this is this app, and I just have it locally on my machine as well. And if you look at this, I think this is this one. We have the app.js, so it's not a TypeScript, it's an app.js here, and we get basically the driver from index.js, I think. So all the stuff we should be able to delete now. So let me be really brave, and I just delete all. Oh no, I should probably first add use Neo4j to my here. npm add use Neo4j here. Come on. So we should see use Neo4j coming up here. This one should have used Yawn, I guess. Yarn at. Do you have to do save in Yarn? I forgot. Okay. Now we have use Neo4j in here, and now we should be able to use it. So if I'm really brave, I should be able to delete just a bunch of code, right? So we don't need Neo4j driver anymore. And this stuff we don't need anymore because we just want to have an, or we should import the Neo4j provider. Import Neo4j provider from use Neo4j. And then we just have a Neo4j provider as an higher order component. And then we don't need to pass the driver to our app, we just use our app. So that's step number one. Should probably be also able to remove Neo4j driver from our explicit dependencies because it comes in with use Neo4j. So it should always be the up-to-date version. So that got quite a lot easier. And then here in my app, I don't get passed in the driver anymore. So the app is just an app. And we just call CipherWiz here. And in CipherWiz, we don't get passed in a driver as well. But we would so this is our query, this is our data, and here's a load data. And so what we would do here is, actually it's a good question. We would import, what's it called, use cipher read. I have to sneak into the other one. It's called use read cipher from use Neo4j. Okay. Okay, use read cipher, and then I should be able in my load function. We don't need a session. Actually, that's a good question for Adam. So, and then we should actually just be able to run use read cipher. Oops. From the cipher statement. And I just need to check in Neo4j context, in Neo4j state. We have result here or records. So either of these should work, I think, right? So we don't need to do this. So, and do you do anything with the else? So, and then we just go over our records and do this stuff. So it should be as simple as this. So I could delete a ton of code here, and I just use read cipher for now. I probably also want to get like the error back if I have an error, and then do something about it. But let's see. What's interesting is the async stuff. So use read cipher. I don't know if I have to do await use read cipher. Does it complain about it? Okay. So and then all the other code stays the same, I think. Okay, so let's see what happens if you run this. So this was pretty easy and simple, and I just wanted to see that we stop this, and then we run run start. So it should be the same simple logging form. Actually, I think I had used a Game of Thrones database in there, so I need to create a Game of Thrones database. So let's see if we have multi-database support in use Neo4j database. Default database, you can pass our default database to our provider. Let's do this. So in our index.js, we can provide what's it called? Database. Database is Game of Thrones. Or we can actually use movies. Or let me Game of Thrones. And the easiest way to get a Game of Thrones database in here is actually use system create database Game of Thrones, and then I'll just use the GraphTales and Playground. I hope that's the right one. Oh, it doesn't have the GDS on Epoch thing. Actually, I just wanted to install the data set. Yeah, we can probably do this. Let's stop this being. And then plugins, we just quickly install these two and then we can get going. Yes, Uday, we are going, as you can see, we are doing the 3 Forcegraph one. I just have to finish this, and then if this all works, I can push it to GitHub, and then you can use it with use Neo4j, which would be really nice. So let's restart this as well, and then with Euler we can. When the database has started, we can do this. Connecting to database. It's still starting. Okay. Cool. This was pretty cool because you could delete a lot of stuff and the other things are all there. So the only thing that I'm not sure about that I have to ask Adam is kind of the whole async promise stuff. If that's something that how I would do this here. But otherwise, I mean, the 3D Forcegraph is really simple because it's just a React component that loads its state based on a query, and then it creates a nodes set or nodes array and then a links array from the nodes. And then basically this is my data here, which I start out with some fake data, and then basically have the query here, which whenever I change the query, it changes the state. And then when I click it, it does the reload and calls the load data method here. And then I just use Forcegraph to the React component from the 3D Forcegraph library and pass in my graph state, pass in some config, and that's it, right? And then I have minimal Neo4j browser, fake Neo4j browser thing. So let me just import into the Game of Thrones database. I want to import Game of Thrones. Okay, yes. Okay, Adam says we don't need async await for the use Neo4j. We just should take care of loading. So if it's loading, then we should probably let's see, if loading set state something like this. And our state is loading false initially. And then in our this we can say either so what is this? Loading. Then we want to have this. When it's loading, we just say p loading, else our component here. So I hope I didn't break anything. I should have probably tested it first before the loading thing. But it's probably really ugly React code. So this is loaded, so we should now have in our Neo4j browser, in our Game of Thrones graph, we should have the Game of Thrones database. Right, interacts season 1, so we need to change this one, or interacts 1. Interacts season 1. So it complains that start let's see what happens now. Use Neo4j doesn't contain a default export, so I probably in my index.js I need to do the curly braces thing here because it exports. So loading is not defined. That's probably the this.state. Okay, let's see what happens here. Oh. I guess what I also need is some CSS. This looks really ugly. So, where's my index CSS? So let us steal this from let's steal this from the index CSS, HTML body, app CSS. Good question. I don't know if Adam's kind of pulling this into somewhere here. Oh no, that's my other. Okay, index CSS. So this is all the login form. It would be cool if we could just import an use Neo4j CSS thing, so we don't need to copy and paste this. So I let Adam know that I React graph this, and I'm not 100% sure it would go into app CSS or index CSS actually. This is an index CSS. So it's available for the whole. Okay. This looks nicer, right? Database Game of Thrones. Different. So we need to, of course, this should be a password field, right? So we connect to Neo4j. And does anything happen here? No, nothing happens here. This doesn't complain. Do we get anything here in the console? Connect to Neo4j. Neo4j test Game of Thrones. Neo. Ah, there we go. Invalid React hook calls. Hooks can only be called in the body of a function component. Okay, so that means we have to learn some new stuff. So this is our component, and we can't call it from within a method. Okay, so we need to learn what this function component thing is that we are talking about. So here's our app, TSX, and it's a function app, and we can only call it from within the function component. So so a function component is something that returns stuff. Let's see. So this is a regular component, and we should turn this into a function component. And the function component, but I don't know how it handles it. Let me see what Adam says. Default function CipherWiz. Okay, we get our loading records, loading, then this, then this, then this. Okay, so I'll just type off what he tells me to type. Let's see. So we have an export function CipherWiz export default function CipherWiz is our thing here. So we have an const query, I think. Which is this. So you see now we break everything. So it doesn't seem to be that easy. Initially I thought it's really easy, but okay. And then we have basically loading, comma records is our result from CipherRead. So this one here. So we get rid of all the other things. And then if loading, we just return basically the loading bit. And else we return the full component. And of course return needs to be in round parentheses if I'm not mistaken. So, and for this we just say loading here. It's probably not the right way to do it because Adam used to use this result thing. So then let's see. If loading, we just set the result to for p. And otherwise the result is our forced 3D graph. So that's this bit, and then we would return our component with the whole shebang. And I'm trying to write this myself and not just write it off Adam, what Adam wrote, right? So, because oops, thought. So, this, and then this bit has to happen just so. This is our function. Export default function service. This is our query. This is our records, and then I this bit this is our data. So we don't have an load data. So these are the things that I don't know how to do now. The on-click thing and the actually do React component support HTML comments? No. So I don't know how to do the load thing. Does this work? No. Okay, then just save it here. And I also don't know how to do the on change here. So that's something that I also need to figure out. Okay, but at least it should render the static thing now, right? So this is our function component, and in our app.js, we should just use this function command. So let's see if it complains something in the compile. Cannot read property state of undefined. It's probably in the load thing. Cannot read property map of undefined records map. But didn't I get records from use read cipher? And I thought actually the use read cipher returns an eagle result state which has an query result which has records. That's interesting. So we should see our query, and these should be our records. So let's see what Adam wrote as well. And then okay. Else if records. Okay. Else if error. Should probably do some error handling, right? So that's usually helpful. Result equals error. Perhaps it's just a cipher error or something like that. Error is not defined. Oh, we should get the error back here as well. Okay, now we get this thing. And you provide a value prop to a form field without an onChange handler. That's a warning. Okay, we get our query back, but it seems we don't get any results back. So let me just quickly run this in the browser so that the data model is correct. Yeah, so this returns stuff in the browser, but I don't get records back. But we just saw that the result should have records, right? And then each record is a record. At least what I think it is. So if you do console.log loading records error, proper JavaScript debugging by Michael. So we have, it's loading, and here it's records is actually empty. That's interesting. So why is records empty? If we change this query to something else, match n, return ID of n, limit 10. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Not let query, but just query. So, what does it complain about? Here are records. So could it be that it connects to the wrong database somehow? That it doesn't use this database that I provided it? Game of Thrones? That's weird. Okay. So what we're gonna do then is so the default database is just a movies graph, right? But if we are sneaky, we can just steal this stuff here and run it in a movie graph. Just to get the data in. What? Oh, copy. PepSmart can make the copy not copyable. I think there's an HTML attribute to make stuff not copyable. What? Oh, we have Neo4j not being helpful for constraints. And now we're getting the data in. Okay. So it could be in principle or in theory that it's not respecting the database yet correctly. Okay, so if I remove this query again, the old one, and this is done, so we have the data in the default database and waiting to reload. Okay, we can perhaps reload it. And let's see, this now returns still no records. So I'm not 100% sure why it does not turn any records. So if I do this query again, we can do n.name. Because this stuff should be there, right? So now it's even in the movie database. Okay, Adam said I could also use the database as a parameter here. Game of Thrones. Okay, let's try this. So, okay, our records here are now, yeah. So this seems to have helped. So let me just go back and connect to this. There we go. So there seems to be a multi-database issue in Node Neo4j. So the other thing that Adam wrote to me is kind of this state handling for the query we can do in our functional component use state. So use state, import use state from React, cool. And we want to have let or const query set query is equal to use state of, what's the thing, our default query, and then we call set query in there. Okay, I think I can do this. Let's see. So we just pass this to use state, which is our default value. So that's React hooks for state handling. Set query. So, and the question is, do I have to use here then query, or is it, I think it's const, and then I need to use on change set query a target value. Oops. So, and the reload thing is, yeah, I don't know, then that should be probably automatic whenever. So this should be interesting, because then when I type, it would probably change the query and re-render. So that's something we probably don't want to do. But anyway, so what happened here? Line 38. Line 30. Set query. E-target value doesn't exist, so either just value doesn't exist either. Can we just pass in set query as a target? Query expected to be a string but was undefined. So the question is query now a function if it comes from state, or is it an query is not a function. What else is it? Query, set query. I think this whole React hooks and state is something that I need to read up on. So anything that Adam says, let's see, use read cipher, square brackets on use state. Okay, that's, thank you, I missed that. I thought it was just a regular thing, but it's some JavaScript magic, I guess. So, and let's try this again. Cool, and if I change something, it should probably re-render and not render anything anymore, right? Or object, set query, e-target value. E is not defined, so it sets the whole event on this? Good question. So this works, but then it sets the whole event, which is of course not what I want. Right. If I change anything here, it sets the event and then it doesn't do anything. Okay, so I forgot that this is a function here, and then we say the target value. Would be nice to get some out-of-the-box stuff in React for stuff like this. All right, so if I just pass a function, I just want to have the value, so kind of nice. Okay, target. Okay. Cool. So this seems to work. So we need to fix the reload button, of course, and kind of don't move it here. But this is our now our function component. We don't have a class anymore, and it uses hooks both for state handling and for Neo4j interactions. So I'm bleeding edge, I think, of last year. I think last summer or so, React hooks were introduced. So super. So so I need to figure out the reload function, reload button, and then I can push it to GitHub again, because I actually don't want it to reload on typing in the field. I just want to basically update the state. So I probably have to add an indirection here that then triggers something when the button is pressed or so. Right. Or I don't know, something. Okay, but we could delete a bunch of code and we don't need to worry about managing Neo4j anymore. So we can remove our console logs as well. And this is basically our error handling. What I actually wondered is if we put an error in here, like let's say this, shouldn't it return an error from the use Neo4j? If loading, else if records, else if error. So if you move else if error up here, because I would think there should be an error if I break this cipher statement, right? That's weird. So there doesn't seem to be an error here. Okay. False, true, undefined. So if I break the cipher statement, it does not return an error. So that's probably also something in use Neo4j. That we need to see what's happening there. So the other app that I quickly wanted to show you, I don't even know if it still works, is this one. It's called Graph App Charts. And I wanted to use this to demonstrate the use of Victory, Formidable Labs Victory chart components. And this is even worse because it's even older, I think. From the driver's perspective. So I wanted to see if I get this updated as well. And with all the things that I know now, it should be super fast, as you can imagine, right? So yarn at use Neo4j. Then we can probably remove the driver as such. We import use so Neo4j provider from use Neo4j, and then we just provide our app with an Neo4j provider. Right, and we don't need a driver here anymore. So all this driver management goes away, which is really nice. Don't need a driver anymore, and I'm actually not sure about the register service worker. I hope that's something we don't need anymore in the future. So where's our app.js? I can't see it right now. Oh, it's just a default app? Oh no, here. So, and we want to use import read cipher from use Neo4j. I think that what's it? I can't remember this function name. Why can't I remember this function name? Use read cipher. Okay, I guess that's a naming convention for the hooks. Read. Use read cipher from use Neo4j, and search term query driver state and so on. So our app has to become a function component, and what do we have? A state name and people. Okay, and the search term is name. Okay, we also need use state. So export default function app. We have a function component now. We don't have a constructor anymore, but we want to use const name comma set. Name is use state. Use state of all, and const people set people. Oops. Is use state empty array. So this is our state. So, and then there's a set search term function. Do we actually need this anymore? So we just need to have const loading our records is use read. Oops. This touchpad is really annoying. Use read cipher of query, and then basically I'm not 100% sure how this set name would now work. So we set our people, our result records, and so on. Map. So, and then I had return, and we have our two components, our search term function, which I don't know if I have to make into like a state or something like that. Oops. And our name property we pass to this. And then the should set people is missing an thing here. So basically what we do is basically we have a filter name and set name, people, set people, and we update the state here, and the set search term function is passed into this person search component, which is then, come on, just taking that and displaying it. And if it's changed, then it just calls set search term. So hopefully we don't need to change this one. So if I run this, and start. Yeah, I'll probably push it to GitHub in a separate branch first, so until I fix the load button. So let me do this while this is loading. I'll push the other one to a separate branch so you can use it. Git status, git commit. Changing Neo4j interactions to git branch react hooks. To use Neo4j. Okay. Cool. So it should be now on GitHub if you go to the React hooks branch. So cool. If you have pull requests, feel free to send a pull request there. I'd be really happy to take them. So Graph App Demo Charts is empty right now, so something is not working yet. Okay. Graph App Demo Charts, it doesn't like start scripts, compiling. What does it complain about? Set search term is not defined, result is not defined, and set search term is not defined. Okay, what do? I think I just closed this one so I don't get confused. Okay, our app.js. We have a functional app component that has name and set name, people and set people. So the question is set search term. It doesn't use this as a function. Why doesn't it use this as a function? And result is not defined. Where's result? Here, result records. Okay. So let's just make. Actually, I don't know if this works with the non. So this is not really helpful, Jan. just dying on me. Come on, can do it. So Adam says he would use lazy read cipher. Lazy read allows you to defer running a query after you click the button, for example. Okay, that's something that we then need to. I can use read cipher outside of the set search term button. So I have my person search, which is this component, and it has a button, and on click it calls set title, and set title calls this prop set search term with this state value. That's probably something that we can also inline, I guess. And right, so this should be we can also leave it. So on click this should do this, and it gets the title passed in, and the set search term as. So I want to leave this actually like it is, and the name is name. So name is, why is this name and not title? Shouldn't this be title? So I pass name as a property here, but I don't use name anywhere here. I think that's an old bug. I think I stole it from somewhere and then I didn't change all of it. Title. So props.title as the value, this state value, and if I call this, then it calls this. Okay. But Yarn still dies on me. Why does it no such file or directory? I'm not sure what it wants from me here. Okay, what else do we have? Yeah. So tbibis, yeah, I said it at the beginning, you might have become a little bit late. So this is really meant to be, as Adam also pointed out in the repository, this is meant to be used for, no, as you point out, sorry, should probably point it out on the repository as well. It's meant for prototypes, graph apps, demos, proof of concept apps. So they don't have a server API or so that you talk to. I'm not sure why Yarn is dying on me here. It says in React script start it has no Steam path. Why does it need a Steam path? What? I don't know what is this. I can create a Steam path. There's a Steam path. It goes to Steam. No such file or directory. But I don't know why it's looking for that. Anyway, I think we're out of time. I just want to show you where you find the other app. The other app is in Neo4j DevTools, Graph App Charts. Oh, I should have showed this before. So the idea was to use the movie graph and then show a bunch of chart components and a bunch of card components and stuff like that. So I kind of just wanted to play around with React back then. And yeah, so I'll try to make this work with Adam and push the update here as well. So it's been already quite some time ago. So I thought it was due for an update as well. So I still hope that was useful, seeing me struggle a little bit with these things, and I think we found one or two issues with use Neo4j that we can fix.